Hello, everyone, and welcome to Understanding Politics. Today, we're diving into a topic that often causes confusion, especially in modern political discourse: the distinction between leftists and liberals. While these terms are sometimes used interchangeably, they represent distinct, though often overlapping, political philosophies. Understanding their differences is crucial for anyone trying to navigate the complexities of today's political landscape. To properly frame this, let's briefly recall the traditional political spectrum. On one end, you have the right, typically associated with conservatism, tradition, limited government intervention, and free markets. On the other end, you have the left, generally associated with progress, social equality, and greater government involvement in the economy and society. Both leftists and liberals reside on the left side of this spectrum, but they occupy different positions along it. Think of it like this. If the left is a large neighborhood, liberals might live in the central part, while leftists live further down the street, closer to the edge. The core difference between them often boils down to their approach to capitalism and the extent of systemic change they advocate for. Are they looking to reform the existing system or fundamentally transform it? Let's start with liberals. In contemporary political terms, particularly in countries like the United States, liberalism largely refers to social liberalism. Liberals are generally supportive of capitalism as an economic system. However, they believe that capitalism needs to be regulated by the government to prevent abuses, ensure fair competition, and correct market failures. They advocate for a mixed economy, where both private enterprise and government play significant roles. Their primary goal is to foster individual liberty, equality of opportunity, and social justice within the existing democratic framework. They seek to improve society through progressive reforms. This means working within the established political and economic structures to make things better, rather than dismantling them. Think of it as tuning up a car to run more efficiently and safely, rather than building a completely new engine. Common liberal policy positions include strong social safety nets, like welfare programs, social security, and unemployment benefits, robust environmental protections, consumer protection laws, and universal access to healthcare and education. They are strong proponents of civil rights, LGBTQ+ rights, and women's rights. In the U.S., the Democratic Party is generally considered the main home for liberal ideology. Now, let's move further left on the spectrum to leftists. This term is broader and encompasses ideologies that are more critical of, or even outright opposed to, capitalism. Leftists generally view capitalism as a system that inherently creates inequality, exploitation, and social injustice. They often argue that no amount of reform can truly fix the fundamental problems of a capitalist system, because the system itself is designed to benefit a few at the expense of the many. Their approach to change is not about reforming the existing system, but about fundamentally transforming it. They advocate for significant, often radical, shifts in economic and political power to achieve true social and economic equality, often described as equality of outcome rather than just equality of opportunity. Leftism includes various ideologies. Socialism, advocates for social ownership or democratic control of the means of production, distribution, and exchange. Democratic socialism seeks to achieve socialist goals through democratic means, often emphasizing universal public services, strong labor unions, and worker cooperatives. Communism aims for a classless society with no private ownership of the means of production, usually achieved through revolutionary means. Anarchism advocates for the absence of hierarchy and coercive power, including the state. While these ideologies have significant differences among themselves, they share a common thread: a deep skepticism of, or outright opposition to, unchecked capitalism, and a strong desire for more collective control over society's resources and production. Let's illustrate with a couple of scenarios. Scenario 1. Addressing poverty. A liberal approach to poverty might focus on expanding social safety nets like unemployment benefits, increasing the minimum wage, creating job training programs, and making healthcare and education more affordable. The goal is to provide a hand up and improve conditions for individuals within the capitalist system. A leftist approach to poverty might argue that these measures are insufficient because poverty is an inherent outcome of capitalism. They might advocate for more radical solutions like nationalizing key industries. Establishing a universal basic income that allows people to opt out of exploitative labor is another suggestion. Creating worker-owned cooperatives to democratize the economy and redistribute wealth more fundamentally is also proposed. A leftist response might argue that corporations' pursuit of profit will always incentivize pollution, regardless of regulation. They might advocate for community or worker ownership of the polluting industry. A complete restructuring of the economic system so that environmental protection is prioritized over profit is another idea. They might even question the very existence of large, privately owned corporations. It's important to note that these are not always mutually exclusive categories, and there can be significant overlap. Many self-identified liberals might support some policies favored by leftists, and vice versa. For instance, a liberal might support universal health care, which is also a key plank of democratic socialism. However, their underlying philosophical reasons for supporting it might differ. A liberal might see it as a necessary regulation to ensure individual health and economic stability within a capitalist system, while a leftist might see it as a step towards decommodifying a basic human right, undermining capitalist control over healthcare. Furthermore, while liberals and leftists often find themselves on the same side against conservative policies, they can also have intense disagreements among themselves regarding the pace and depth of change. In summary, liberals largely operate within the capitalist framework, seeking to reform and improve it through government regulation and social programs to ensure fairness and individual liberty. Leftists are typically more critical of or outright opposed to capitalism, advocating for a more fundamental transformation or replacement of the system to achieve greater collective equality and justice. Both share a common concern for justice, equality, and human well-being, but their methods and their ultimate vision for society diverge significantly. Understanding these distinctions is key to making sense of political debates, identifying underlying ideologies, and engaging more effectively with the various voices on the political left. Thank you for joining us today on Understanding Politics. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.